Now moving on to the fourth video of Chapter 3, what we're going to discuss here is the data map unit. You'll notice that I'm in the legend. While we're talking about a few things, you'll notice that you check out a particular object, and so when I checked out that particular legend, it allows me to edit everything that's in that legend. And so you'll notice here that we've got all of these legend map unit records checked out. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to check this back in. And don't worry about these error messages. I'm working on a beta type of 6.3. And then once again, here is the particular map unit that I am looking at, is this McCook. And so since I don't need this, I'm going to check this one back in also. I'm not making any edits, and keep in mind you have to check the data out to edit it. However, I am going to come over here to the correlation table, and I've got quite a few different correlation or data map units in my selected set. And so what I want to do is I want to find this particular data map unit. So I highlighted it, and once again I'll go to Table Editor and I'll do a Find the Selected Row, and I want to find that particular data map unit so that we can continue this discussion. Now, the data map unit table, we have the DMU description, and one thing you need to be aware of is this has expanded to 256 characters. Be careful what you ask for, you might get it, and if you get it, you got to live with it. And so this field can now contain more information. The HEL, you'll notice, is dimmed out and marked as obsolete. These three fields were fields that were in the database when we created it many years ago. And at that time we recorded highly erodible land as a feature in the database. We have since stopped doing that. And that is the reason why you no longer copy and paste a data map unit. You'll notice that these new data map units down here do not contain that information. That's because they are brand new data map units. And whenever you copy and paste a data map unit, these records come with it. You need to get out of the habit of copying and pasting a data map unit and create a new data map unit and copy the components that you want in there. The interpretive focus allows you to identify what that particular focus of, for example, cropland, forest land, woodland, that was the intent of that particular field. Whether you use it is up to your MO. The order of mapping, it makes good sense to identify what the order of mapping is. You'll notice historically we did not do that, but we are now populating that so that we can identify what order we're actually dealing with. We also have productivity index at the data map unit level. There is no assignment to this other than the fact that it is just a generic productivity index. Some states wanted to use that. It is a productivity index for that map unit, not based on any particular crop. So this is something that you need to be aware of. Productivity index is used in several of the other tables, and they are linked to a particular crop. In this instance, it is not linked to a crop. The remaining columns that are in the data map unit table are specific columns that the states had in the old 3SD and had requested to be carried over into NASIS. And these are state-specific interpretations for that particular map unit. So just be aware of that. We're going to open up now and take a look at the various tables. So we have the component immediately below the data map unit. We also have the DMU certification history, the DMU crop yields, and the DMU text. The DMU crop yield is the crop yields for the map unit as a whole. The certification history is the history that the soil survey leader will identify his quality control or her quality control efforts on that particular DMU. And then all of you are familiar with the components, and this is where we identify the components that are contained within that particular map unit. I'm going to scroll this up a little bit so that you can see this information. Now, the component table, we identify the component percentage, and we have the ability to populate the low and the high values. We also have the component name, local phase. SIR phase is an obsolete term. And as you scroll across this, you can see that all of this information deals with the component as a whole. We have our climatic information. We have our vegetative information. We also have some interpretations, populated interpretations. And we also have the taxonomy information. And then once again, we have specific state interpretations for a particular component. And these were asked for by the state. So this gives you a sense of the information that's in the component table. And then as I take the choice list, you'll notice the choice list now opens up. We have a lot of different tables in here. These are for you to go in there and investigate, to be able to look at what all needs to be populated. We have quite a few sets of guides in both National Soils Handbook and National Instructions that identify how things are to be populated. The NASIS User Guide goes into more detail on what populates. National Soils Handbook 618 talks about population. So we've got a lot of books that discuss how to populate this information and what needs to be populated for what particular instance. However, the horizon table is the table that's directly below the component, and we're going to take a look at that. Now we've gone from the data map unit, which is the data for that map unit, to the components, and now the horizons for that particular component. Here we've got all of our depths and our thicknesses, our designations as far as the particular types of horizonation that we've got, our fragments, our sieve sizes, our particle size determinations. Particle size determination is an important feature. Some of these are not pertinent to your particular area. There are no mica in this soil. There's no reason to populate this. There's no fiber in this soil. There's no reason to populate it. Then we have the remaining part of our physical properties. And then we go into, from our physical properties, as you see, we've got quite a few properties. We go into our chemical properties. And we can continue on with all of our chemical properties. So this gives you a general idea of the data that's populated in the horizon table. And then once again we can go down another level, and on this remaining level you can see that we've got the information on the textures, the suffixes, fragments, the types of fragments that we have, and then types of structure that we have, types of pores that we have. So all of this information builds on itself, and there are many layers deep into this particular table, in this particular object. And you'll notice that I went into the horizon texture group. Once again, you already are familiar with the fact that a bold italic means it's a required field. And then once again, we can go down into the down further into the table. Oops. Well, you know, that is so difficult to work at. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and there's this magnifying glass right here, and I'm going to click on that magnifying glass, and it promotes that table. That now it allows me to come in here and open up that particular record. And so now, as you see, I went deeper and deeper. I start at the modifier, go to the texture, go to the texture group. Anytime you see a group table identifies that there are child tables that have to be populated in order to populate the group table. Horizon texture group is a good example. I can open up this one, and here's the horizon structure. I can have multiple structures within a map unit. Within a component. within a horizon, I can have multiple structures, and because of that, I have a child table that can have multiple structures. And then from that, I can then go up into my group table, and there are always calculations that calculate the group table based off of what you've populated in the child tables. So that gives you a good synopsis of the data. We've looked at the area, we've looked at the legend, we've looked at the map unit, we looked at the data map unit. And the rest of this is based off, you're just going to have to go in and investigate yourself and look at the variety of data that's within these tables that need to be populated. I gave you the references of the diagrams, I gave you the references of the reports, and you can look at the columns, table and columns report to identify where things happen to occur. Any specifics on population can be found in all of our guidance documents. That's the end of this chapter.